So I'm going to be talking about the most beautiful albums that I know of. Before I even mention any albums, I want to discuss this Mario Kart remix that I heard when I was in like single digit age. There was something about the frequencies or atmosphere on that track that really just took me elsewhere. The same place that all these future album recommendations have taken me. I'm going to start things off somewhat light with something that resembles more so of a punk album, that being Miserable's Loverboy and Dog Days EP. This album is just full of reverb and delay on the vocal sets, but there's this really sorrowful kind of feeling you get that you don't with much punk music. There's so much aggression, but there's a lot of sadness that rings through on here through all of the somewhat conventional indie pop and punk rock tendencies on here. If I were to pick some of the most sad moments myself, I really like the tracks Fever and Hotel that I used to cry to all the time when I was in high school. We kicking things up a notch with Pink Shiny Ultra Blast, who's somewhat of a shoegaze band, but it's more like punk rock dipped in shoegaze more than anything. Again, lots of delay and reverb on the tracks, but the songs are longer, a bit more complex. They just take you to really cool places. Holy Forest is conventional, but again, the vocal lines are just absolutely beautiful on this thing. There's a lot of echoing effects on tracks like Umi, on Land's End, which include a really, really cool, dreamy guitar sequence. And if you want this kind of sound, but with nothing but shoegaze turned up to 100, you see, a lot of people think that My Bloody Valentine are kind of like the kings of that whole really heavily distorted shoegaze sound, but if you were to turn My Bloody Valentine to 11, you basically get Love Lies Crushing. I actually own the album that I'm talking about, an album that I honestly can't even pronounce. Like, I don't know how to pronounce this. But if you check out tracks like Virgin Blue Eyes on here, it's some of the most intense, beautiful, and yes, crushing that the entire shoegaze world has to offer. There's around like 20 tracks on this thing, but each of them are heavily worth a listen if you enjoy really distorted, dreamy soundscapes. An album that was so good that I had to write a whole article about it is Cozy Fanny Tootie's Time to Tell. Now, Cozy Fanny Tootie is a member of Throbbing Gristle, the group behind the song Hamburger Lady, which was kind of told to be one of the most disturbing songs within music history. In contrast to that, you have Cozy Fanny Tootie basically creating these extremely heavenly dreamscapes, again, much like the worlds of Pink Shiny Ultra Blast, but now it's so ethereal that you're essentially going there through your ears. It's amazing. The 3 tracks on here all have a very unique atmosphere to them. They're minimal, but the emotions are all fully there. If you look at the original release of the album, there was actually a postcard or something of the sort with her own artwork that just takes you to that, again, really out there kind of world. The song The Secret Touch has got to be one of the most beautiful tracks ever written by anyone. And then I have Grouper, Alien Observer, and Dream Loss, which, I'll tell you, an album's beautiful when I can't help but cry within the first 5 seconds of the album. I'm not kidding. Alien Observer, Moon is Sharp, I probably cry within the first 5 to 30 seconds of hearing it every single time I hear it. Something about the extremely ethereal vocal effects on here layering into each other to create just this really drony, but again, really beautiful soundscape that it's just without words. It really is like music from another planet. All the tracks on both these albums kind of explore this really pretty, distorted, outworldly sound, probably at her best. And considering that she has many other albums like Dragging a Dead Deer Up a Hill, Wather Crept, really anything she's released is just excellent. But something's especially outworldly about the tracks on Alien Observer, fittingly. And probably the most beautiful song that I have on here has got to be... And for my most beautiful pick out of everything that I have on here, it's got to be this artist. I'm going to sound like an idiot if I pronounce it, so I'm not going to. But the track, Will You Know Where to Find Me, off of We Are the Sun by... is probably the most beautiful audio I have ever heard within my entire life. There's these extremely beautiful female vocal sounds across this really heavenly landscape that just sounds like the most pure sounds of nature. And something about that combination will set anyone that listens to this to complete tears. It's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So I highly recommend checking this out if you want to break your heart on purpose.